It's done. Not the book. Not the book that I was talking about before, but the thing that preludes the book. You'll see. I want you to think about the greatest heartbreak you've ever experienced. That person you would do anything to avoid ever seeing again. Now imagine you not only run into that person again, but now you have to work together with them like your life depends on it. That's the situation the protagonist finds himself in my new novella, A Bird Flies into a Power Line. It's a superhero realistic fiction story about early relationships, breakups, and finding your place in a complicated world. If that sounds at all interesting to you, then stick around because I'm going to talk a little bit more about what the story is about and also what inspired it. Last time I introduced you to Ayumi Bawa, a girl split between two worlds with the powers of a phoenix, who jumps at an opportunity to escape her disaster of a life and explore her heritage in a trip to Japan. But I also mentioned that to understand how she got to that point, you needed to meet someone else, her ex, who is actually the protagonist of this story, Devonte Harrison. Devonte is a young adult working his first full-time job at a secret agency employing people with extraordinary abilities, like him. He was born with a combination of his parents' electric powers that allow him to manipulate electricity in the environment around him and also use it to supercharge himself. His latest mission from the agency is unlike anything he's ever faced before, as it takes him to the prestigious Genesis Gala. Think the Met Gala, but for the world's most powerful people and superheroes. Of course, that means he's all dressed up, which he's quite happy about, but the stakes are also higher than ever before, as his mission is to find and destroy a superweapon that threatens to destroy the agency or the world itself. There's only one other problem. His partner for the mission is Ayumi, his ex-girlfriend. She started at the agency at the same time as him. They met during orientation boot camp, sparks flew, and they fell fast and hard for each other. But that was 2 years and one breakup ago, and now they have to find some way to put their feelings aside and work together to complete their mission. For as long as I can remember, I've been a fan of superheroes. I grew up on the MCU and DC TV shows, but the stories I've always loved were the ones that were rooted in compelling characters. Because while I don't relate to having superpowers, I can relate to the common struggles of the human experience. That's where my take on superheroes comes from. Yes, they have powers and spend time trying to save the world, but ultimately these characters and the world they live in is far more familiar to us than it is different. And to me, these stories don't have to just be shallow entertainment. They have just as much potential to have depth and tell stories that mean something. I describe my style as the intersection of a Marvel superhero movie with the emotion and themes of a John Green novel. So while there is heist antics and heroic action scenes, the core of this story is the relationship between these two characters, as they struggle to navigate the breakup of a first relationship. Often in stories, there's a focus on the fallout of a breakup from the perspective of the person who got broken up with. However, I was inspired to write a story from the opposite perspective. While sometimes it's very clear when things aren't working out, in reality there's many other times where it's not so clear-cut, or so easy to do what needs to be done. I wanted to delve into that kind of a complicated breakup. A first relationship that changed the world for these two characters, yet they were pulled apart for one reason or another. Ayumi is struggling with how to let go of someone she never wanted to in the first place, while Devonte made this choice, but isn't as at peace with it as he might want to be. And that begged me to ask the question, under these circumstances, would these two people be able to stay apart, or would they ultimately be brought back together? I started writing this story nearly 4 years ago now, and in that time it's only become more personal to me. Ayumi's mixed heritage and desire to do good in a world that makes it difficult, Devonte's struggle with imposter syndrome and journey of learning how to process his emotions, my own experiences with heartbreak, and everything I've learned about relationships in my life so far. All of that and more is the story of my novella, A Bird Flies into a Power Line. And if you're seeing this, that means it's out and free to read right now. You can just click the link in the description below. I've really enjoyed getting to know these characters over the past 4 years, and I'm so excited for you all to finally meet them. Thank you, as always, for listening to my stories, and I hope this one doesn't break your heart too badly.
Ayumi, where are we going?
Out the window.
I was afraid you were going to say that.